everyone. Today we're going to talk a bit on Malala Yousafzai and the event speech that she delivered in the year 2013. Now, I hope all of you might be familiar with this girl who actually started blogging at the age of 12 in 2009 for BBC Urdu about living in Swat Valley of Pakistan. She was writing that blog from her hometown in Mingora, which was the Swat Valley was under the occupation of the militant group of Taliban. And her blog chronicled the day-to-day life, the trauma that they had to face every day, kind of an everyday trauma in a war-occupied, terror-occupied region, about the fears that she had of going to school, especially for girl students who were not allowed to get educated under the Taliban regime. And she also wrote about the constant threat of violence that was always looming in the air for these students as well as the whole of the Pakistanis. Now, Malala Yousafzai, of course, has become a domestic name in the sense that she was one of the very few voices, very few brave voices who spoke out. And probably because she raised her voice against terrorism, and probably because she advocated education for girls, that she was shot at and was seriously injured along with lots and lots of other schoolgirls. And later on, Malala Yousafzai survived to become one of the most famous human rights activists the world has known. She turned out to trigger a wave of revolution in the revolution with girls all across the globe, all hailing "I am Malala" banner kind of thing, and to support the bravery that she had very much exhibited, and through this bravery she had created history by voicing or by speaking for the education of girl students, and by building a sort of a global movement to demand girls' right to education. Now, she co-founded the Malala Fund. She wrote a book titled "I Am Malala." In 2014, when she was 17 years old, she became the youngest ever recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize. And after all these, she was admitted to Oxford University, where she studies philosophy, politics, and economics. Now, what Malala did was that, of course, she was coming from a place which was under constant threat of oppression, of violence, of all kinds of trauma that she had to face on a daily basis. But she was a girl who was not willing to remain silent. Instead, she spoke out, which we do not see often. We do not see amongst many. Now, she had transformed. She had taken the trauma as a sort of an opportunity, and she has positioned herself probably as the most famous or one amongst the most famous citizen activist in the world. Even July 12th is celebrated as Malala Day. Now, this particular speech, which you have got to study in Spectra, in the last module, which is a module on marginalized and their rights, where you have, So in this module, you've got the first chapter as this UN speech, which was delivered on on 12th of July 2013. It is 2013. and which was addressed to the United Nations. And the day was actually her birthday, her 16th birthday. And this day was again 9 months after she was being shot by Taliban. Now let's actually, I'll just read it out and I'll just describe the whole speech for you. Okay, so let's read it out. In the name of God, the most beneficent, the most merciful, Honorable UN Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon, respected President General Vuk Jeremic, Honorable UN Convoy for Global Education Mr. Gordon Brown, respected elders and my dear brothers and sisters, today it's an honor for me to speaking again after a long time. Being here with such honorable people is a great moment in my life. I don't know where to begin my speech. I don't know what people would be expecting me to say, but first of all, thank you to God, whom we all are equal, and thank you to every person who has prayed for my fast recovery and a new life. I cannot believe how much love people have shown me. I have received thousands of good wish cards and gifts from all over the world. Thank you for all of them. Thank you to the children whose innocent words encouraged me. Thank you to my elders whose prayers strengthened me. I would like to thank my nurses, doctors and all of the staff of the hospitals in Pakistan and UK and UAE government who have helped me get better and recover my strength. Now, as I told you before, this is a speech which was addressed to the United Nations, and you have lots and lots of dignitaries on the stage, on the dais. You have the Honorable UN Secretary General Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the President of General Assembly is there, UN Convoy for Global Education is there. So you have lots and lots of dignitaries on the stage, and it is standing right in front of them that this girl, I mean this girl who is almost 13 or 14 years old, who has got a chance to speak for herself, or probably to speak for herself, and by speaking for herself she was of course speaking for a whole community of girls. So she says she's not able, she doesn't know where to speak, where to begin, or you usually have a confusion, right, where to begin her speech. Now, first of all, what she does is she thanks everyone, including the Almighty. She thanks each and everyone who has prayed for her recovery. She did thank God. She did thank thousands of she was very much grateful for receiving thousands and thousands of good wish cards and gifts from all over the world. So you might be familiar with that instance when the whole of the globe was praying for this little girl who was shot by Taliban, and the whole of the world were so very immersed in the prayers of her recovery that she is really thankful to each and every one. I fully support Mr. Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General, in his Global Education First initiative and the work of the UN Special Convoy, Mr. Gordon Brown, and I thank them both for their leadership and that they continue to give. They continue to inspire all of us to action. Now she thanks the Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. In his global education mission, and she feels like all these people, all these dignitaries would be a great inspiration, great motivation for each and every person, for each and every individual all over the world. Dear brothers and sisters, do remember one thing: Malala Day is not my day. Today is the day of every woman, every boy and every girl who have raised their voice for their rights. There are hundreds of human rights activists and social workers who are not only speaking for human rights, but who are struggling to achieve their goals of education, peace, and equality. Thousands of people have been killed by the terrorists and millions have been injured. I am just one of them, and here I stand, one girl among many. So she calls each and every student, each and every child all around the world. She calls everyone brothers and sisters, and she is trying to motivate each and every one of you. See, I hope I told you about Malala Day. Malala Day is a day which is celebrated every year on 12th of July to commemorate the struggles that Malala had gone through so as to get education for young girls. So today is the day for every woman. So she says that Malala Day is not a day for Malala alone. Malala is a symbol of all the girl students all across the world who are really struggling to get their rights met, who are really struggling to get their fundamental right to education met. Now, today is the day of every woman, every boy and every girl who have raised their voice for their rights. Now, she tells that there are lots and lots of people who are all over the world struggling to get educated, and there are lots and lots of human rights activists and social workers who are right now speaking not only for their own rights but for the rights of all the people all over the world, especially girl students, for their goals of education, peace and equality, which would of course bring about a new world order altogether. And she also reminds us about thousands and thousands of people who are getting killed every day by terrorists, millions and millions of people who are getting killed every day. And she says that I am just one amongst those girls. I am a girl amongst a lot of girls who are being attacked in a regular basis. Now, being a girl who represents the whole of the global community, whole of the girl global community, or whole of the children community, or whole of the those student community who really want to learn, want to get their rights to education, I speak not for myself but for all the girls and boys. I raise up my voice not so that I can shout, but so that those without a voice can be heard. Those who have fought for their rights, their right to live in peace, their right to be treated with dignity, their right to equality of opportunity, their right to be educated. Dear friends, on the 9th of October 2012, the Taliban shot me on the left side of my forehead. They shot my friends too. They thought that the bullets would silence us, but they failed. But then out of that silence came thousands of voices. The terrorists thought that they would change our aims and stop our ambitions, but nothing changed in my life except this. Weakness changed, fear changed, hopelessness, all these things died. Weakness, fear, and hopelessness died in me. Strength, power, and courage was born. I am the same Malala. My ambitions are the same. My hopes are the same. My dreams are the same. So she says that I'm speaking here on behalf of each and every boy and girl, those she's raising up her voice, not so that she says that I'm not shouting. I want to become the voice of the voiceless. I want to fight for the rights of those people are fighting every day for peace, for to be treated with dignity, for the rights to equality of opportunity, the right to be educated. And she talks about that instance when she was shot on the 9th of October 2012, when the Taliban shot her, and they wanted to, the Taliban had always intended to silence girls and boys by the use of bullets, by the use of weapons. But Malala had shown them that bullets cannot silence them. Instead, she has come out with words, she has come out with action, she has come out with breaking her silence, and she continues to break that silence. Out of that silence, see, now these terrorists, they have felt that the bullets are going to silence us, but then Malala it was Malala who actually came out of the void, out of those silenced voices, in the sense or from that silencing that they had intended to happen, came out actually words and voices. The terrorists, they thought that they would stop our ambitions, but instead of that, all the weaknesses that they had, that these boys and girls had, including Malala, the weaknesses, the fear and the hopelessness that they had till then, had died altogether, and from that had emerged like phoenix, had emerged power, courage, and strength. Now she says that she is the Malala whose ambitions are the same, whose hopes are the same, and whose dreams are the same. Dear sisters and brothers, I'm not against anyone. Neither am I here to speak in terms of personal revenge against the Taliban or any other terrorist groups. I'm here to speak up for the right of education of every child. I want education for the sons and daughters of all the extremists, especially Taliban. I do not even hate the Talib who shot me. Even if there is a gun in my hand and he stands in front of me, I would not shoot him. This is the compassion that I have learned from Prophet Muhammad, the Prophet of Mercy, Jesus Christ, Lord Buddha. This is the legacy of change that I have inherited from Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, and Muhammad Ali Jinnah. This is the philosophy of non-violence that I have learned from Gandhiji, Baka Khan, and Mother Teresa. And this is the forgiveness that I have learned from my mother and father. This is what my soul is telling me: be peaceful and love everyone. Now, Malala says that she does not have any sort of personal revenge towards anybody, even to that Talib who had shot her in person. Now, what she wanted was that she wanted each and every boy and girl all over the world to get educated, including the sons and daughters of the extremist group, including the sons and daughters of the terrorist group. It is education who can widen the horizon. It is education which will let you think in a global way. She says that she does not hate anybody. She says that even if she is being given a gun and told to shoot the person who has shot her, she will never do that, because the inspiration that she has got about compassion, about peace, about mercy, about non-violence, about forgiveness comes from Lord Buddha, Jesus Christ, Prophet Muhammad, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Gandhiji, etc., 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 all including her father and mother, who had actually, all of these people had taught her the value of forgiveness, the value of peace, the value of love, the value of mercy, the value of compassion, not hatred, not violence, not threat, and not weapons, not bullets at all. Dear sisters and brothers, we realize the importance of light only when we see darkness. We realize the importance of our voice when we are silenced. In the same way, when we were in Swat, the north of Pakistan, we realized the importance of pens and books when we saw the guns. The wise saying, the pen is mightier than sword, was true. The extremists were afraid of books and pens. The power of education frightens me. They're afraid of women. The power of the voice of women frightens them. And that is why they killed 14 innocent medical students in the recent attack in Quetta. And that is why they killed many female teachers and polio workers in Khyber and Fatah. That is why they are blasting schools every day, because they were and they are afraid of change, afraid of equality that we will bring into the society. Now, she says that it's only when you are suffocated, or it's only when you are groping in the darkness, it is only when you are silenced that you realize the importance of light, realize the importance of your voice. And it is only when the terrorists had attacked Pakistan, terrorists had come to the Swat Valley and told and had attacked them using their weapons, using their swords, using their bullets. We had realized the importance of pen, importance of books, importance of words, and importance of voice. And she says that the power of education frightens all the terrorists. They are afraid of change. They are afraid of women getting educated. They are afraid of the voice and power of women. That is why they killed lots and lots of innocent students. They killed lots and lots of female teachers. That is why they are blasting schools every day, because they are afraid of change, because they are afraid of people getting educated, so that these people who get educated would threaten the narrow-mindedness, would threaten the concept of change that these Talibs had. They would bring about change in a very peaceful and in a very loving way. That is what they afraid. That is what these Taliban people was afraid of. So yeah, I remember that there was this boy in a school who was asked by a journalist, why are the Talib against education? He answered very simply by pointing to his book. He said, a Talib doesn't know what's written inside the book. They think that God is a tiny little conservative being who would send girls to hell just because of going to school. Now, this is a very simple anecdote where she says a boy who was answering a journalist asking, why are Talibs against education? And probably the boy said, probably the Talibs are against books. The Talibs feel like the Talibs feel that God is a very small creature who's going to punish each and everyone all around the world, who's always bent on punishing. The terrorists are using the name of Islam and Pashtun society for their own personal benefits. Pakistan is a peace-loving democratic country. Pashtuns want education for their daughters and sons, and Islam is a religion of peace, humanity, and brotherhood. Islam says that it's not only each child's right to get education, rather it is their duty and responsibility. So she says that the Taliban, they are misusing in the name of Islam, in the name of Pashtun society, so that would benefit them. Actually, according to Malala, she says that Pakistan is a very peaceful, peace-loving, democratic country and want education for all of its citizens. Even its Islam says that each child should get education. It's not only their right to get education, it is their duty and responsibility to get educated. That is their primary aim as far as Islam is concerned. Honorable Secretary General, peace is necessary for education. In many parts of the world, especially Pakistan and Afghanistan, terrorism, wars and conflicts stop children to go to their schools. We are all tired of these wars. Women and children are suffering in many parts of the world in many ways. In India, innocent and poor children are victims of child labor. Many schools have been destroyed in Nigeria. People in Afghanistan have been affected by the hurdles of extremism for decades. Young girls have to do domestic child labor and are forced to get married at an early age. Poverty, ignorance, injustice, racism, and deprivation of basic rights are the main problems faced by both men and women. Now, she actually requests the Honorable Secretary General by saying that what you need, the environment that is very much needed for education is a peaceful environment, is a loving environment. But all over the world, in different parts of the world, you do see terrorist attacks, you do see extremist attacks, you do see children being victims of lots and lots of problems, poverty, ignorance, injustice, child labor, where all the basic rights are being deprived of them. You see if Pakistan and Afghanistan, which which is filled with terror wars. You see women and children who are suffering from child labor. I mean, women and children who are suffering in lots and lots of the part of the world. Children are suffering from child labor. Many schools are being destroyed in Nigeria. She is citing some instances where lots and lots of problems are happening. Violence is happening. Extremism is happening. Terrorism, I mean, violence, threat, fear reigns. And in this sort of an atmosphere, she says that students, children will not be able to learn anything. So the atmosphere should be made conducive for education. Dear fellows, today I am focusing on women's rights and girls' education because they are suffering the most. There was a time when women social activists asked men to stand up for their rights, but now this time we'll do it by ourselves. I'm not telling men to step away from speaking for women's rights. Rather, I'm focusing on women to be independent, to fight for themselves. Dear sisters and brothers, now it's time to speak up. Now she turns her attention to the women's rights and education because she says that it's not men who should speak for women's rights. Of course, men did speak for women's rights, but now let women speak for women's rights. Let women stand up and voice themselves. This is what Malala says. But so today we call upon the world leaders to change their strategic policies in favor of peace and prosperity. We call upon the world leaders that all the peace deals must protect women and child's rights. A deal that goes against the dignity of women and their rights is unacceptable. We call upon all governments to ensure free compulsory education for every child all over the world. We call upon all governments to fight against terrorism and violence, to protect children from brutality and harm. We call upon the developed nations to support expansion of educational opportunities for girls in the developing world. We call upon all communities to be tolerant, to reject prejudice based on caste, creed, sect, religion, gender, ensure freedom and equality for women so that they can flourish. We cannot all succeed when half of us are held back. We call upon our sisters around the world to be brave, to embrace the strength within themselves and realize their full potential. Now she is really an inspiration, these are the words which are really motivating. She tells the world leaders that each and every peace deal that they bring about should protect women's and children's rights. She says that a deal which goes against the dignity of women and the rights of children are quite unacceptable. And she requests all the governments to provide free and compulsory education for every child all over the world. And she requests all governments to fight terrorism, to fight violence, to protect children from all sorts of brutality and harm. And she also requests the developed nations to support the expansion of educational opportunities for girls in the developing world, in the third world countries. Now she is also requesting all the communities to be tolerant, to get rid of prejudice which are there based on caste, creed, sect, gender, religion, etc., and to ensure freedom and equality for women and children so that all of them equally can flourish. And she says that we cannot have success when the lion's share of our population are held back. We need each and every one of us, including each and every girl child, to get educated, each and every woman to get their human rights. Dear brothers and sisters, we want schools and education for every child's bright future. We'll continue our journey to our destination of peace and education for everyone. No one can stop us. We'll speak for our rights and we'll bring change through our voice. We must believe in the power and strength of our words. Our words can change the world because we are all together, united for the cause of education. And if we want to achieve our goal, then let's empower ourselves with a weapon of knowledge and let us shield ourselves with unity and togetherness. Now she says that it is only education which can provide peace and a loving atmosphere on in a global level. So it is only the words which can change the world. So we should unitedly, we should stand for the only cause, for the first cause, that is the cause of education. It is only knowledge that can extend your horizon, and it is only knowledge which could be taken as a weapon, not guns. And dear brother, and she tells each and every sister and brother, every child, every boy and girl, that we must not forget that millions and millions of people are suffering from poverty, from injustice, from ignorance. We must not forget all those things. We must not forget that millions of children are out of school. We must not forget that our sisters and brothers are waiting for a bright, peaceful future. So let's wage a global struggle against illiteracy, poverty, terrorism, and let's pick up our books and pens. They are our most powerful weapons. One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the world. Education is the only solution. Education first. So she ends the speech by saying that we should be all the time reminded of those millions and millions of students, of children who are suffering from poverty, injustice, ignorance, who are out of school, who are not getting educated, who do not have a peaceful future, who are always waging struggle against illiteracy, poverty, and terrorism. And she says that we will fight all these things not by weapons, but by non-violence, by picking up books and pens, by gaining enough knowledge, by voicing ourselves. And these are our real weapons. One child, one teacher, one pen, and one book can change the whole world. Education is the only solution that you can have in so very violent society. Thank you.